Hi, everybody. We had a great first week. I really enjoyed reading your introductions and getting to respond back to you guys individually and seeing where everybody is coming from and the kinds of things you're interested in and your writing. Um, it was really exciting. And then getting to read your forum posts and your actual writing was really exciting. Just to see where you're at regarding voice and then to see your different styles. That got me really excited. Um, this next week's writing in forum will be a little different, and I want to chat with you guys about it this week during chat to see which you prefer. If you like more guided writing exercises, or if you'd rather free write, because I know that when I took writing classes, I didn't like writing prompts that were just kind of open and unrelated to what I was working on at the time. I always wanted a writing prompt that let me work on my own story. So then I felt like I wasn't wasting time on another writing prompt that had nothing to do with what I was working on. So I always want, we'll talk about what you prefer. If you like writing prompts that let you work on something out unrelated, or if you'd prefer writing prompts that are more open so that you can incorporate the story that you're actually working on. So if you would rather those be more free writing, 10 minutes of like free writing about your own work. Or maybe I could do, I could leave it open-ended so that it's both and maybe has a little bit of guided about the aspect of voice that we're working on the week. Anyway, we can chat about it this week in chat. Speaking of chat, there was awesomely a time that worked for everybody, which is rare and awesome. So chat this week will be on Wednesday at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. And so I know we've got at least one or maybe two people on the Pacific coast. And so Pacific, that's 5:30. So that's Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern, folks in New York. 7:30 Central, and then for you West Coasters, that's 5:30. So yay! I really look forward to chatting with you guys in real time. I know that's the best part of this class. It makes it feel very real and like we're all in this together and, talking in real time. So I'm looking forward to that. And on to this week, which we'll be talking about the who. I've kind of broken down this class into just an easy, who, why, how, and what, and where, as a way to focus it, and so just easy go-tos in our head about what we're working on that week. So this week is the who, and we're looking at who is your character, and the way we'll get into that is, and it's I guess it's also kind of why are they doing what they're doing? Oh wait, no, that's later. I'm getting myself confused. We're looking at who is your character, and so we'll do that by getting into stereotypes, and a lot of writers will say stereotypes are bad, stay away from stereotypes, but I'm going to say the opposite. Stereotypes are your friends starting out, because so I'm including a couple of video samples of the Breakfast Club, and think about those stereotypes, the rebel, the popular girl, the freak, the nerd, and the jock. And you think how well those stereotypes worked, because what they do in that movie is they take these stereotypes and then they're going to flip them and they're going to mess with your head. But stereotypes are really helpful in our own minds as we begin working with a character so that we can kind of categorize what we're starting with. But we just don't leave them as two-dimensional characters. We don't just leave it as the princess. We don't leave it as the jock. We don't leave it as the freak. Like they do in that movie. And part of what I'll begin getting into is one of my favorite topics, which is reversals. And it's something that you need to start thinking from, even in this early on in this game is when you're figuring out character, you need to figure out where you're going to be taking them in their journey. Because this is part of voice too. You need to, and this ties into plot, but it also is a big part of voice, because you need to figure out what your character's emotional arc is going to be throughout your story. Does the, princess, where does she go emotionally? The big premise or the big idea of the Breakfast Club, and it's even stated, is that, the rebel says, you and I are nothing alike. That's the big premise. These 5 people have nothing in common. But then by the end of the movie, they're, through the events and the conversations, they find out that they have a lot in common, or that they're just people, that their humanity links them more than their differences separate them, which is kind of what makes that movie so powerful. And the way it's done makes you believe it, which is why it's become a cult classic, and it's beautiful and amazing. So I only have 2 clips, but if you get a chance, I say rewatch the movie, because it's a classic for a reason. But yeah, that idea of reversals is going to be a really powerful theme. It's one of the things that makes stories hit us in a way that sticks with us. And it's useful in mini form in a scene, and we'll talk about that later too, using it for scenes. But here I'm talking about it on a large scale. So you'll think about it from a large scale. And so another part of this week is character studies, or a character questionnaire that I've created. And I'd like you to, even if you're not a person who wants to really sit down and fill out every question, I get that, because sometimes I'm impatient and I just want to get started writing and not do it. But read through it and kind of mentally fill it out and, go through the checklist. But I'm starting a new book, and I filled out the questionnaire for this for my characters. And I was so glad that I did, because it helped me flesh out who my character is and the whys of just getting to different facets of underneath their motivations and underneath their felt and their unfelt needs. And getting back to the reversals idea, is some of the questions, I could see that she would answer them one way at the beginning of the book, and then she would answer them differently at the end of the book. Like, one of the questions is, what would your perfect day look like? And she would answer it one way at the beginning of the book. And it would be all about revenge, because she's angry and furious. But by the end of the book, I've, hopefully, if I've done my job, moved her to resolution, and it would look very different. And I think a lot of those questions, would look one way and then differently. Like, another question is, what would you do if you only had a year to live? And my character would answer, at the beginning of the book, she would answer, I wouldn't bother. I would just say, kill me now. Because there's no bother. I wouldn't bother living the extra year. It wouldn't be worth it. And then at the end of the book, she would have a different answer. So, and that can be another way into getting to know your character and thinking about those reversals. How would my character answer these questions differently at the beginning of the book and the end of the book? And that can help you figure out your character arc and shaping your character arc. And then that can also help stimulate plot ideas, so that can all fit in together. So that's exciting stuff. And story arc and character arc and plot arc, that can even work for nonfiction, creative nonfiction, because all writing wants to follow these story shapes. This is what readers want to follow. Like, so memoirs, we get excited if they follow these similar shapes. For I know at least one person is thinking about writing creative nonfiction, so just keep that in mind at the same time. And then lastly, our reading this week is going to be from Going Postal by Terry Pratchett. And Terry Pratchett's just amazing. And he is a master of voice. His voice is always funny, but really poignant and just, oh my gosh. And it is a Discworld novel, but you don't have to have know really anything about Discworld to get it. And yeah, it's a little bit longer than last week's, but it's really worth it. And so yeah, and then there'll be analysis questions, and I'll let you guys do more of the analysis this week, and then we can talk more about it in chat. And yeah, so I'm excited about this week, and I'll touch base with you in a video again next week. Bye, guys.